This is a Kimura from the crossbody position. Just again, the principles or fundamentals of a Kimura. Also referred to as a chicken wing, bent arm lock, key lock. So if we take it from the crossbody position, first of all, we're going to work on our hand grip or wrist grab. So with the bottom hand means being furthest from his head, we're going to take the wrist and pinky grip. So not just on his wrist, it's going to be wrist and pinky. So your thumb and pointer finger, depending on the side, 2 fingers on his wrist, the opposite 3 fingers will be on his pinky fat. Okay? Because on the other side, it would just be just different with your fingers. So wrist and pinky grip. Okay? I like to go all 5 fingers over. Some people will go with a C grip like this. With this, again, if he extends his arm out, I'm just on his wrist, he has more strength. And I lose that grip sometimes. But if I have that pinky and the wrist, he extends that arm out, it just makes it harder. Okay? So we're gonna have our pinky and wrist grip. We're gonna take bring our opposite arm as tight over his shoulder as we possibly can. So by bringing it right over his shoulder, it makes this arm longer so we can reach our own hand. And if you come too shallow, then you can sometimes not reach your arm for that figure 4 grip, especially if they're bigger than you. So it's going to be arm over the shoulder, high of the shoulder, which makes your arm longer, and you can be able to grab your hand. You want a hand over hand grip, not figure 4 on your wrist, because there's too much space between your arm and his arm, so the submission won't go on as quickly. So hand over hand, which makes no space. So already he's going to feel tension in that shoulder, and these are shoulder locks. The arm you want at about a 90-degree angle. If the arm's extended out, it goes from what's sometimes called a chicken wing to now a turkey wing. We want to keep it for this technique as the chicken wing or the Kimura. So a 90-degree angle inside his elbow. Different hand grips, just so you know, again, depending on the size of this person's arms or the lack of length maybe in your arms, you can go figure 4. You can go 2 hands on his wrist. Sometimes you can just cup the elbow and turn it like this, or it can be just the opposite. Grab here and pull like that. So you can go figure 4, 2 on 1, elbow wrist, or elbow wrist. 4 variations of hand grips. Okay, so the submission, we have hand over hand, no space. Our body, our chest is right across his solar plex. To get this shoulder, the key is to get his shoulder off the mat. So I'm gonna roll into him and roll back. And as you can see, this gets his shoulder off the mat. So it allows for more range of motion on the Kimura. The movement of his arm, you're gonna go from his elbow, you're gonna put his elbow above his shoulder. If you try to take the Kimura and his elbow's below the shoulder, he can resist that a little bit better than he can if it's above his shoulder. Once you get a person's elbow above their shoulder becomes weaker. So sometimes you can actually put the submission on and it starts right here. Once you get his elbow above his shoulder, you can already feel the tension in the shoulder. But right from here, if he's pretty flexible, elbow's above the shoulder, my ear is gonna be to his elbow, again, looking away from his head. And then I'm gonna bend his wrist, thinking that if it went all the way through, it would go right into his spine. So again, we catch the arm, pinky and wrist grip. I like to go 5 fingers over. Loop the arm through, insert the arm through his arm, as deep on his shoulder as you can, so it helps extend that arm. Go hand on hand, or you can go 2 on 1, or you can go elbow wrist, elbow wrist. And we're gonna go figure 4 for this one, hand on hand. Roll him back, 90-degree angle inside his elbow. My ear goes to his elbow, looking away. And his elbow comes above his shoulder, and put the hand into the spine. And again, the key is to roll him back to get the shoulder off the mat. Roll him back. As you can see, his shoulder's off the mat. The elbow comes above his shoulder, and then you're going to be twisting the arm into his spine, or the hand into his spine. So hand on hand, roll him back, ear to his elbow, put the submission. That's a Kimura, which can be taken from many different positions.